Okay, hello everybody. It's Paul Green here from the business community, doing another one of our regular Spotlight on interviews. And today I'm joined by Chris Lambert. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Paul. How you doing?
Not bad, mate. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining me today. So for those that don't know you, that might be tuning in, just want to introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you do.
Yep, I'm Chris. I'm one of the directors and the IT engineer for Data Sense Consulting Limited.
Okay.
Or many of you would have known me as Chris from Blue Sky, but this is a bit of an update in that we are rebranding and merging into Data Sense.
Yeah, we'll have a little chat about that later if that's okay. So the intention of these is just to pick your brains, learn about your business journey, get a few sort of top tips from you, and basically that. So hopefully you're up for that. So yeah, as you said, well, do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey? Because I think you've been in business for, what is it, 12 years or longer?
No, it's longer than that. It's 16 and a half years.
Okay, I'm a few years behind then. So do you want to let people know how you started off and how you got into the business and just that really, and then we'll talk about the latest plans.
Well, where to start? I suppose back in 1999, so back in the old millennium, I was working for a company. I just started for a company called, at the time, Special Delivery Services. They rebranded to Special Mail Services, and they're now known as DX Secure. You would have probably seen the vans. If you've had a credit card or passport in the last 20 years, they certainly would have probably delivered it. So I was working for them. I had been there for just shy of 5 years. I had a 2-week holiday, decided that I'd rather not be working for them and fancied giving it a go on my own. By the end of the first week, I had written my resignation letter. By the end of the second week, I had what was RA Computers, my original branding, set up. Went back, found my director and went, I quit. Here's my resignation. Contract still says 4 weeks. So my end date is, I worked out to be whatever it was, in the middle of August. And from the 1st of September in 2004, I set up as RA Computers. And from there, I've gone through a couple of changes. RA Computers lasted for about 5 years. I got approached by one of my clients who offered me a job, but as I'm sure most self-employed people know, they don't like working for other people. So I turned that down, but they made me a counter offer, which was to set up a new limited company with myself, 2 other directors, to help grow the business. So still doing effectively what I was doing already, but I'd get my own office and go from there. That was back in, I think, 2010-ish. Gave that a go. The recession hit. Sadly, their print business went under. So I kind of got lost a director through that. Kind of got a bit messed up with where I was actually based. So I went back to work from home. The other director was still with me. He set up a new business, which I believe is still going. But we kind of parted ways a few years after that, in that his business was based out near Shetlanger. It's just a bit too far for me to travel. Because every time I got out to the office, it was like, we needed to come back to Northampton and look at a client's computer. So I was forever backwards and forwards, moved to where I am now in the Nova Centre, my lovely spacious, it would be spacious because of IT equipment office. And I've just been going ever since with that. So working with predominantly businesses on the IT support front. I do get involved with, as many of the BizCon members know, cybersecurity with the help of my colleague Dean, and GDPR with the help of Gail. Okay,
so you've now become part of the Data Sense group, I guess. So what were your thoughts behind that, and what was the motivation to decide to take the next step in your business then? What was the thinking?
The biggest bit was, every year business has grown, and you probably see this as a coach with companies, the growth becomes less and less as capacity builds up. So I'm getting to capacity, and the next logical step for growth was either acquisition, take on another company that was possibly struggling, but then there's all the fun and gains of having to turn around another company as well as keep a successful company going, or look for a company to merge with. So an opportunity came up to merge into a new limited company with myself, Dean, and a guy called Rob Wright, who runs a telecoms company. So he'd keep the telecoms company, Dean would keep his client base, and I would keep my client base with Paul Resources. And then back in the heyday of 2019, when we could do things in big groups, myself, Dean and Gail did a security presentation here at the Nova Centre. Went really well. Myself and Dean were chatting after it on a few different bits, and we said how great it was working with Gail. Fast forward a month or two, we was sat down looking at the merger again. So we decided to approach Gail, bring her in, and consequently, we actually really liked Gail's branding. We'd struggled a lot with trying to find the right name for it. Gail's branding, the name just kind of rang with us. So it ended up merging into DataSense.
Okay. So the idea of bringing on staff to sort of facilitate your growth, that wasn't something that appealed to you?
It didn't. Obviously, with staff, you've got to have the funds to pay them. So, you know, land a couple of very big contacts that need a dedicated engineer, great, but it's getting those contracts in, and they don't come in just overnight. So it was going to be a case of either having someone who's very, very much part-time, although to be fair, myself and Dean had both had staff in the past, and it didn't quite work out how we planned on it. So we figured putting our resources, we could both free up some of our time, in that if I'm on a site, I've got Dean who can cover what I do. And consequently, then I'm not trying to fit in an extra day's worth of work into other gaps. So my free time's a bit better managed, in that I can focus on business development and business growth, along with what Gail and Rob and Dean do as well for the same thing. But it's, yeah, putting the resources was the better option than looking at staff.
So 16 plus years in business, that's quite an accolade. What do you think has been your success? Because as you know, yeah, a lot of small businesses that start up don't succeed in the first year, and then the next hurdle, it seems to be 3 and then 5. And the stats tend to be against, on the whole, you know, startups being successful, or the vast majority don't last 5 years. What would you say is one of the keys to your longevity? There's a big word for you.
I would probably say the best key, the best bit of advice I can give to any business is networking. March actually is 16 years since I started my networking journey. I started doing the Federation of Small Businesses events in Northampton. The first person I met, and if Gary does watch this, it's going to show how old we both are. I met Gary Pettit from what was then BRI down in St James. He's obviously now BBC based in Northampton. First person I met networking was him, along with a guy called Simon Kemp. That was, like I say, in fact, it'll be 16 years ago this Friday.
Wow.
And I just, a bit skeptical, a bit shy, nervous walking into it, but persevered with it. 16 years later, 16 and a half years later, I'm still here, still popular. People seem to like me somehow.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's a mystery.
It's weird. It's weird. But as long as you go into a room and you understand how networking works, and you're, I wouldn't say necessarily a people person, but as long as you can get on with people and not wind people up, and talk to them as an equal, don't, you know, never talk down to someone just because I know IT and who I'm talking to doesn't. You know, business, running a business networking event far better than I do. So I would never presume that I know more than you on that front, because I know I don't. And talking to people as an equal, it just works. People respect you, and then when they've got a problem, they'll come to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you certainly leverage networking well, and you've tried obviously a lot of different styles of group, and you're a part of different styles of group, which I recommend. You know, you shouldn't just put your eggs all in one basket in any case, because there's a lot of diversity out there. But did you think now is a better time than ever to network in the virtual world? What are your thoughts on that?
Virtual world, and to be fair, during the recession, I actually upped my networking. I do more of it. In general, I do more of it when I'm busy than when I'm quiet, because I don't want to have those quiet periods. If I'm at the forefront and everyone can see that I'm around still, regardless of how busy I am between 9:30 or 9 o'clock and 5 p.m, whatever my hours happen to be that day, as long as I'm in front of those people, they know I'm still there, still working. I'm still giving out advice to people, so they know that I'm there if they need me. You know, it's like yesterday, I was on the road from 9 o'clock. I didn't get back till 7:30 last night. But had there been a networking breakfast before that, I would have been at that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's one of the things that I do harp on about, that I think it is important during times like this, or during a recession, not to go and bury your head in the sand, not to disappear. If things are more scarce than they normally are, then, as you said, you need to get your face out there more often. So, those opportunities do arise. So 16 years, there's obviously something that gets you out of bed every morning, other than the alarm clock. So what would you say your why is? What's your motivator? What sort of drives you to fight the good fight every day?
Well, to be fair, when we was doing the face-to-face networking, the thing that drove me to get out of bed was the fried breakfast.
It was bacon, yeah.
It was the bacon, as many people noticed the bacon. It's my why, I guess, is I enjoy helping people. It's, for me, fixing a computer is just the day job. For some people, it's a very key thing. I'll give you an example. A couple of years back, a lady's computer failed, and in fact, it's strange, I did this recently for the same client. Computer failed, it was completely dead, no sign of power, motherboard had gone, and on the hard drive was the photos of her family, holidays, her sadly passed away husband, but they were in effect all gone. I was able twice now to get back, and she does back up. She just doesn't back up as often as she should do. But I was able to get those photos back. Photos that can't be replaced. You can go to the same place in the world with the same people. It's never the same experience. And photos do tell a picture that way. So just the ability to help someone in what for me is quite a trivial, it's just hook up a hard drive to another computer, run some software and get the data back, was actually quite an important thing for her.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, with technology nowadays, as we continue to evolve, and you've got data on your smartphones, you've got data everywhere, I guess people do put some quite personal stuff on there. And like I say, it only needs something to crash or break or whatever, or we'll talk about, being infected, as it were, or subject to cybercrime, and all that data's lost. Then it can close businesses down, I guess, can't it, if they're not able to recover their, accounts data.
I think the stats when I last looked was something between 80 and 90% of businesses will close within 3 years of a severe data loss.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you mentioned about helping people. Alongside your business, you're also active in one of the Rotary clubs local to yourself. In Kettering, I think it's the one you're part of.
Yeah, I'm in Kettering.
So tell us a little bit again about that, how you got involved, why you're involved, and what the Rotary clubs are about.
Well, how I got involved goes back to how I've got involved with many things in my life. I was helping one of my clients with a networking event he was putting on for charity, and a lady whose name escapes me at the moment, Chris Bloman. She used to run the Butterflies Dress Agency. Come do a promotion for other companies that I've not seen for years. Chris was at the club. She was doing this is the day before, doing a charity fashion show there for the stuff from Butterflies Agency, which she owned at the time. Just needed some help with getting the right music to pop up onto the sound system at the club. I happened to be in there sorting out a few other IT problems. And I think the owner, she just said, do you know anything about iPods and getting the music through the sound system? So it's pretty straightforward, just showing what you've got and we'll run through it. Did that, came along to the event the next day just to make sure it did all run smoothly, and I had a free lunch. And then she then did a bigger event at the Guildhall in Northampton for Air Ambulance. So I helped to do the production for the music and the visuals for that, which again, I've not got a lot of experience in it, but it was good to give time, and they didn't need anything complicated. It was just, this is what the season's design is, summer, beach, whatever it happened to be, bit of music, just made it the right order and played through. So she took me and a couple of the others out for a thank you meal shortly after. This was kind of, I think, early to mid-December. Chris was quite heavily involved with the Rotary Club in Northampton. So across the space of the night, the alcohol was flowing heavily. I do just about remember that night. And she just mentioned that they were setting up a new Rotary Club in Northampton for younger people, aimed at those who do work. I mean, the Rotary's going hugely into it right now. started off as a kind of business organisation with service to the wider public as the key. Chance to meet new people, make new friends, possibly get some business out of it. So I said, again, being heavily into networking at that point, I said I'd give it a go. That was 14 years ago. And here I am still involved, still enjoying it. I have changed from a Northampton club to a Kettering for various reasons. Again, my history and growing up time was Desborough and Kettering, so I've got a lot of connections there. So it's just nice to give back to another area as well.
And if people want to get involved in the Rotary, what's the sort of what are you looking for from anybody that wants to volunteer their time?
If you just want to volunteer time, we certainly with my club, we do have a lot of hands-on projects. We do street litter picks in and around Kettering. Obviously, at the moment with COVID and everything there, it's a little harder to organise it. So we're getting contact in from people who just want to do a kind of a family walk and litter pick. So we're lending out equipment that we've got. And then hopefully once things get back to a bit more normal, we'll do the bigger events where we've got 30, 40 people turning up. Just spend an hour or two going around areas of Kettering, doing the picks. So if people want to just get involved at that level, that's fantastic. We're always looking for hands-on help. Same with the events we do. As many know, Kevin Robinson, 13 Media Arts, he came to a charity whiskey event we put on back when stuff back in good old 2019. It seems so long ago. That raised a good couple of £100 for Homestart in Kettering, and that was a load of us sampling 6 whiskies. In my case, it may have been 7 or 8 across the night and learning a bit about it.
It's a dirty job. Someone's got to do it, Chris, haven't they?
Spending time with Kevin is a dirty job, and someone does have to do it. And I really do respect Christina for that.
I did mean the whiskey, but hey, we'll go with that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was a difficult night drinking all those whiskies and then going back to the hotel bar with Kev and having a few more. But if people do want to get involved, then really the weekly commitment at the moment is we have a 1-hour meeting every week where we just chat about what's going on, how people are doing at the minute. It really is about the support of the members, making sure everyone's coping in these times okay. We are starting to now plan for things in the future. But again, if you wanted to join the club, happy to have a chat with anyone who does and just run through things. But it's a weekly meeting. You don't have to attend every week. I kind of tend to say probably 2 out of every 4 meetings is good to get along to.
Yeah.
When we are back into the normal world, the weekly meetings will change. We'll have project nights, speaker nights. We have a monthly social where we can go out and do things. So it's all a little different at the moment from what we do normally because of what we've had to go through.
Yeah, no, I get that. So other IT companies out there, Chris, you obviously must be doing something right to have been in business for this long. But what would you say makes you different from competitors out there? Why would people buy you versus any other IT company, would you say?
To be honest, the key thing to that, and it's the same for any business, is me. You know, any other IT company out there can come along, turn off a computer, turn it back on and fix the problem, regardless of what any person says. Oh, my company's forward thinking, it thinks outside the box, blue sky thinking, all those other buzzwords. Every IT company is pretty much the same in what we do. We turn stuff off, we turn it on, and if it works, if it doesn't, we'll jump onto Google and find the answer. It really comes down to
giving away your secrets, Chris.
I am giving away the secrets. Turning stuff off never works, trust me. Just phone a professional. No, it really does come down to the individual. You either gel with people or you don't. I've worked with people who I've got really good relationships with. You know, some cases we've become friends. But I always get on with the people I work with. If the relationship's not there, if you can't get on with someone, I would more often than not just say, look, we're not the right partnership for each other. We're not going to help each other grow. So it's probably time to part companies, and I'll stay on until you find someone else.
Yeah.
You can't get on with someone. You know, there's plenty of people out there who probably can get on with them. And not having a bunch of C&D clients makes your life a lot easier.
So do you have like an ideal client that you're looking to engage with, or what sort of audience are you providing services for?
Predominantly, we're looking at 10 plus users in a business. But that said, we will look at smaller companies because at the end of the day, we're here to provide a good service. We're not just going to push someone away because they're a one-man band. I've got some clients I've had for the best part of 16 years in some cases that, they're one-man bands. That's the business they want to be, but they're happy with the service they get. But yes, the key for the business is the bigger companies because it brings in more money, and we get better, more interesting jobs for us because turning it off and on again is a little boring after the 5th time that day. But we like to get involved in bigger projects, so we want to deal with bigger companies, but we will of course still maintain those close links with the small to medium-sized businesses, because it's, again, with networking, you're not selling to the people in the room or that single business. You're interested in who those contacts are. I've had very good referral to a charity in Kettering come through from Simon Cox last week. That actually came through the previous Friday. I spoke to the lady last Monday morning. By Friday last week, they had been invoiced for 12 months of support and they'd paid the bill.
Excellent. Okay. And on that side, how do you charge? Is it just sort of like job by job, or do you do monthly fixed fees, or what's the sort of process that you go through?
Depends really what the client's after. We won't force any one solution onto a client because it's not what's best for us. It's in our bank balance. It's what's best for the client. So a one-man band, typically it will just be ad hoc stuff because one device, it's going to go wrong a lot less than a company with 100 devices, 10 devices. But we can charge or we can set up a monthly agreement where we've got remote access into the systems. We provide unlimited remote support for a small cost, or we can look at the bigger things. It really comes down to what they're after, because we can then bring in the cyber security, bring in the GDPR policies and procedures there, act as an outsourced protection officer, data protection officer. So it's really tailor making the package for that customer. Okay.
So whilst we're recording this, we're in lockdown 3.0. Hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel with the current timeline for when we're going to get back to some sort of normality. So that's obviously been a challenge for most businesses over the last year. Outside of that, Chris, over the 16 years, what would you say is the biggest challenge or challenges that you've faced?
The biggest challenge I've faced in business is probably certainly getting new business in and standing out from the crowd. As I said earlier, you've got to find what makes you unique, and it is you as the individual. None of us are Coca-Cola yet with their unique tasting Coke that tastes like every other Coke, really. It's getting new business in, making sure you get paid on time. So managing, I suppose, really time management and making sure that all those little jobs get done. You might have 10 invoices building up, but if they're all £100, that's £1,000 that's not been paid to you. So time management's probably the key one, which does lead down to making sure the little jobs get done in a reasonable time.
Okay. You agreed to sort of like share some of your vast knowledge with us today and just give us a few tips. I think you're going to sort of talk about the keeping sort of data safe and things like that. So if I just put you in a solo mode, if you just want to learn us, that would be fabulous. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I just thought I'd just jump in with a few bits about data security, not necessarily the cyber side of it, but it does all tie in. And especially in this work from home world we're in now. And I think going forward, we're not going to come away from work from home. It's always been there for the past 20 plus years. And it is going to carry on for some time to come, albeit maybe in a hybrid. I've got people who are doing stuff where they're 1 week from home, 1 week in the office, or even just days here and there in and out of the office. When you work from home, the key thing is to make sure that your company data, and especially you've got confidential information, is safe. A couple of things to make sure your systems are up to date. If you're using Windows 10 or Mac OS X, or Mac OS as it is now, just making sure that any updates that are coming through are applied. Certainly with the case of GDPR, is making sure that those systems are up to date and still supported. Windows 7, great system, no longer supported by Microsoft unless you're paying a phenomenal amount of money to them to get it supported. So that would actually fail you in a GDPR audit if you were to suffer a data breach that's led to people's information being put out across the dark web, whatever you want to call it. being released out into the public domain. So I think it's keeping things like systems updated, which goes again for phones and tablets, making sure they're up to date. Making sure your home network and those of your staff are secure. You've got to think the weakest way into any corporate network is the weakest device. That can be anything from a wireless printer. If you're working from home, it could even just be the family PC that's not running anything that's considered good antivirus software. Windows 10 comes with built-in antivirus software. It is free, and like anything that's free, it does an okay job. It won't support you and help you in the long run. So it's again making sure that any security software is up to date. There's no point installing any of the products on there for a 12-month that came with the machine and then not renewing it past that 12 months because it comes out of date. It no longer protects you and actually will become a hindrance to your machine. You then start looking at the rest of the network. Do you separate out your home network? Do you have a guest network for, okay, you don't have friends and family necessarily coming around at the moment, but if you've got your home and work device on the same network, you are open up against compromise from that weaker link. And so I am just looking down the log I did for the business bulletin, just for a few key bits. And you start looking at encrypting devices as well. Windows 10 Professional and above comes with a BitLocker built in, great bit of software, encrypts the hard drive. Make sure if you're broken into, you leave it, your laptop or any device on a train or somewhere in a cafe, when we go into those again. If it is taken, it just adds that extra layer of security to make sure you can protect what's on there. In terms of a Windows 10 password, it takes me about 2 minutes to get past that. I make a couple of quick changes to 2 bits of software, renaming one just so it's out of the way and renaming another one to be the old name of previous software, and then I just log on to Windows as normal, click one button, I've got a command in front of me, and I can then, with a couple of commands, reset your password. It's that quick, and that's information you can just get from a quick Google. So with an encrypted device, that becomes very, very hard because there's an extra password before I've even got the chance to boot off the memory stick to make those changes. And it's the same for anyone who's got any idea of how to do these simple things. I say simple, they are simple for me, obviously, but a quick Google does tell you how to do these things. So just making sure if you've got the option to encrypt laptops or PCs, just encrypt them, especially if they're at home, just on the dining room table. Anyone who's walking past sees it, comes back at night, quickly through your window, and your device and data's disappeared literally in seconds. What else we got? Just game software, making sure that's up to date. Things like Office, making sure it's all up to date. Looking at, if you're a bigger organization, the RSA keys to help with the login processes just makes it a bit more secure. It works very well with the Azure system for 365. If you'd like to know more about that, happy to have a chat. Or Barat, who goes to the Daventry group, he's very up to date on that and knows really what he's talking about. But again, happy to chat with people. And probably one of the key one is having, if you have it available, and again, most devices do now, the Find My Device. If your device is stolen and it gets turned on and connected to the internet, which most people will do with it, it gives you a chance to find it, lock it, and hopefully remote wipe your device, just to add that little extra bit of security. But anything anyone's not sure on, I'm more than happy to have a chat offline, online, over a cup of virtual cup of coffee or something, just to go through key bits for it.
Okay, lovely, wise advice. I think it can be a scary place, and I guess there's a lot of I don't know, it's fear or just fear of the unknown. Probably people don't know. I think it is safe to say though that you know, hackers or people that are creating viruses, you know, they're not just gonna focus on the bigger businesses. You know, if you're open to or susceptible to these types of things, you know, I guess it's quite easy for hackers to find you and, you know, hack into your system, put some ransomware on there, and all of a sudden, you know, start demanding bitcoins or whatever. So it can affect any business, I guess, can't it?
Oh, business and individuals. And to be fair, if you look at the big corporates, yes, they do get attacked a lot, but they've got a massive budget to throw out cybersecurity. Most small businesses have a very small budget to start with. The minute they've had a data breach and the data's been compromised, suddenly that budget becomes massive. But at that point, the horse has bolted, gone to probably the other side of the country, and is enjoying a fresh field of grass. And chucking a load of money to shut the door on the stable at that point is not worthless, but you know, you've had the data breach, you've risked the fine from the ICO, which is a decent amount of money against your turnover, and that's not profit, that is turnover for a business. It can really put a business under.
Yeah, I saw a stat the other day, actually. It's off a podcast of someone talking about cybersecurity and cybercrime, and the stat was that 68% of small businesses in the UK have already been compromised, but it takes them 237 days to actually find out.
I would actually guess that that's a very, very lowball statistic.
Yeah, yeah. And there are four attacks every second.
Again, that's probably a very low statistic as well.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah. So whatever you're doing out there, you know, make sure that your data, if anything else, is protected. Because as Chris said, you know, if you have a data breach or something like that, then you know, it's not going to put you in good stead for survival, I guess, at the end of the day, is it? Restoring everything and getting it all back to how it was. So if you were to give one top tip for any business owner out there, what would that top tip be to help their success?
Network. Get out networking. Doesn't matter which group it is. Find the right group for you and network. Get your name in front of people. It's what's, you know, 16 and a half years later, I'm obviously doing something right with my networking. I don't do printed advertisement. We are with DataSense running some social media advertisement or posting across LinkedIn and Twitter, which I'll give a shout out to Christina and the team at Green Umbrella for doing that for us. And that's getting our name out there. But ultimately, that's going to be for nothing if people can't get hold of us, and we're not people's, whatever. I know what I mean. But yeah, it's get your face out there, get networking, get to know people, get to understand their business, and just find the right group that works for you. I do highly recommend the BizCon stuff. I've been a member now for 5 or 6 years, and it's probably the one networking event that has brought in my biggest client to date, regardless of all the other ones I've done. 3-letter acronym one, the FSB and the others. BizCom has given me my biggest return on referrals, and that was from one referral from a guy called John in Kettering.
Excellent. Okay, checks in the post, Chris. Thank you. So thanks for your time today. Really useful to get an insight into your business and how it's evolved over the 16 years. I think it is important for business to evolve and adapt and, you know, keep ahead of the game. If you're not, then your competitors likely are. And, you know, good luck with DataSense and your colleagues in that group.
No, thank you.